Okay, so now we have to prove second Borel-Cantelli lemma. Okay, second Borel-Cantelli lemma says that it is a partial converse. Why am I saying it is a partial converse? You need independence, right? It does not say that, oh, no matter how this summation is infinite, I will always have infinitely many, that is not what it is saying, right? You need independence, okay? You have, it is further stipulating independence, right. The second Borel-Cantelli lemma, it is a little bit of, it requires some algebraic jugglery here. So, I will prove a lemma to prove a lemma, okay. So, the second BC lemma I want to prove another lemma to prove it, okay. There we go. Suppose zero less than or equal to pi less than or equal to 1 is such that sum over pi equals infinity. Then product I equals 1 through infinity 1 minus pi equal to 0. So, this statement has nothing to do with probability as such, it is just a you are saying that if something, if a series sums to infinity, right, the series of numbers, you have this pi's which are between 0 and 1, you can think of them as probabilities, but it is not necessarily the case, right. It sums to infinity. So, then you have this product is 0, okay. So, the proof of this is again just algebra. So, we have the following, okay. So, we have log, so it follows from this fact log 1 minus x is always less than or equal to minus x for x in 0 1, right. This is something you can prove, this is just an identity, this is identically true, right, for all x in 0 1. So, you apply, so you take logarithm of this. So, let me do that. So, you have log product I equals 1 through infinity 1 minus pi equal to log of limit n tending to infinity product I equals 1 through n 1 minus pi. So, this guy, see, I want to prove this guy is 0, right. So, I want to I am just taking log, okay, because it is a product, a log of a product just becomes a summation, right. So, this will become so this I am writing as a limit, okay. So, now I have less than or equal to log of pi I equals 1 through k 1 minus pi for all k, right. So, this can only be bigger, right. I am only going, so this is for n bigger and bigger. So, I am multiplying numbers that are less than 1, right. So, if I stop at some point, right, I will only be bigger, right, and log is a monotonic function, right. So, this is again simple algebra, just nothing very deep here. Okay. Now, what do I do? I have log of all this product, which is equal to, I can write it as log of a product is sum of the logarithms, right. I will have sum over I equals 1 through k log 1 minus p I, which is less than or equal to sum over I equals 1 through k minus p I, right. This relationship is because of this guy, right. So, first, or note that, you just say note that here. So, from there you get this, okay, and this is also true for all k. So, taking k to infinity, so if I take k to infinity, what happens to this term? Yes, I know that sum over p I is infinity. So, this summation will go to minus infinity, which just means the product will go to 0. Okay. So, we have log of all this product 1 minus p I, this way will go to minus infinity, implying the result, right. Okay, so that is just a lemma to prove the lemma, and this lemma has nothing to do with probability, it is just algebra, right. So, now I want to really prove this Borel-Cantelli lemma 2. Okay. Actually, let me keep this part of the board. I will prove number 2 here. So, I have to prove, so in order to prove Borel-Cantelli lemma 2, I have to prove probability of a n infinitely often is what? 1, right, or I can prove that the complement has 0 probability, that is also fine, right. So, what I will look at is in fact the probability of the complement of this guy. Okay. So, I have 1 minus the probability of a n infinitely often is equal to the probability of union n equals 1 through infinity b n complement. Agreed? I am looking at the probability of the complement a infinitely often essentially, and that I am using De Morgan on this. Okay. This again, so this I will again use union bound, sum over n equals 1 through infinity probability of b n complement. Okay. Now, I want to prove that this is equal to what? I want to prove this is equal to 0. So, I must, so in order for this to be 0, I need, the only way this can be 0 is each of these b n complements should have 0 probability, right, otherwise it will not happen. So, yeah, so I want to prove that each of these is 0 and therefore, you are upper bounded by 0, which means it is 0, right. So, here I go. So, so you have, we will show probability of b n complement equal to 0 for all n greater than or equal to 1. indeed fix n and m greater than or equal to n. Okay, then you have probability that intersection I equals n through m a I complement is equal to. So, this is, so I am taking an finite intersection of a I complements. Okay. So, why am I doing that? I want to prove that B n complement has 0 probability and B n complement will have intersection a I complement, but it will go from n to infinity, but eventually I will send m to infinity. Okay, use continuity of probabilities. So, so if you look at this AIs are independent events. You can prove that if AIs are independent events, then AI complement are also independent events. You have to prove it. Okay, you do it as a homework. So, this you will get this, what will happen to this? This will product out, right? This will have pi I equals n through m probability of AI complement, which is 1 minus probability of AI good. Okay. Now, if I send m to infinity, what happens? So, if I send m to infinity, so look at this very carefully. If I send m to infinity, limit m tending to infinity, I will use continuity of probabilities to put the infinity here, okay, which will give me probability of B n complement, correct, and then I will get I equals n through infinity 1 minus p of a I. Okay. So, what I am saying is thus probability of B n complement is equal to limit m tends to infinity probability of intersection I equals n through m a I complement okay. So, this is by what relation? This is because of continuity of probabilities, right, because B n complement is the intersection n equals I equals n through infinity a I complement. I am writing it as a limit using continuity of probabilities, and by this relation I will get this is equal to a product. So, I will put the limit here and right. So, that will become I equals n through infinity. So, I am maybe skipping one step here 1 minus p of a I. Okay. No, this well, okay. So, the statement of the lemma is that almost surely ANs occur infinitely often. Almost surely means, so this almost surely means with probability 1. Okay, WP1 or A dot S is something that is used interchangeably. It means that the probability of that event is 1. Okay. Okay, so far with me. So, now this I know what this is. Why? Because I have, see, I am going from some n to infinity, but I know that if I sum p of a I from n to infinity I will get infinity. So, by that simple algebraic lemma this will be 0 for all n greater than or equal to 1, okay, by the lemma, by that earlier algebraic lemma, because these p of a I sum to infinity, right. So, this product will be 0 by that lemma. So, which means for every n greater than or equal to 1 probability of B n complement is 0, right, which means that guy will be 0, right. So, from here you can conclude that that is 0 because each of this is 0. So, the summation is 0, So, probability of an occurring infinitely often is 1, okay. Everybody with me? So, I will give an example in a little bit, but first I want to make sure that you understand the proof. Everybody with me? So, just look over it one more time. It's not a difficult proof, okay. All steps are, I mean, you repeatedly use union bound, continuity of probability. These are the things that you keep using all the time, okay, in these kind of proofs. Okay, so I will, so in what remains of this lecture, I will give an example to illustrate the first BC lemma, second BC lemma, and I will also illustrate that if you throw away independence, you completely throw away independence from the second lemma and you still have this, it does not necessarily mean that infinitely many ANs will occur with probability 1, okay. So, it is not a complete converse, right. Okay, first shall I do the example? So, do some example. So, the simplest example is, so you are looking at whether a sum of certain probabilities goes to infinity or is finite, right. So, you have to look for some convergent series or non convergent, something that is going to infinity, some divergent series, right. So, example, see I am going to toss, so it is like this infinite coin toss model, okay, except my probability measure is not going to be what we have already studied, okay. So, I am going to toss coins infinitely many times, okay, and my sigma algebra is your familiar sigma algebra, okay, whatever we did, except now the probability measure is not going to be my half the fair coin measure, I am going to put something more complicated on it, okay. Let P well, okay, let AI be the event that the ith toss is heads, okay, as usual, right, we have studied this, looked at this before, and let P be a probability measure on omega f such that probability of a n equal to 1 over n for all n greater than or equal to 1. Okay. So, I am taking some probability measure which has the property that the probability of the nth toss turning up head is 1 by n, right. So, I will, so this 1 by n, so this has the property that summation is infinite, right. So, I will later make, so sum over 1 by n is infinite, if I make this 1 by n square, it is summation is finite, you know, right. So, so if I want to give the example of the first Borel-Cantelli lemma, I should probably just give 1 by n square to begin with, right. If I keep 1 by n, it will be an example for the second lemma. So, let me keep 1 by n squared, okay. Okay.
How we can do that, that's a valid probability measure?
Yeah. So, I am not specifying, see, I have not told you what the measure is on the entire sigma algebra, you take whatever measure you want that has this property, okay. I have not, see, I only specified measures for A n, right. I have not told you what they measure. So, you have to do the full story, right, like we did it for the fair coin toss model, but I am saying let P be any probability measure which has this property. Okay, you can prove that, you can formalize this, no problem, but all I am saying is, so let us think about this intuitively. I am saying that I have this infinite coin tosses, the probability of the first toss being heads is 1, probability of second toss being heads is 1/4, say third toss being heads is 1/9 and so on. So, it is becoming, heads are becoming very unlikely as you go along, right. The probability of the 100th toss being heads will only be 1 in a 10,000, right, it is very unlikely as you go along. So, you have so this is, since sum over P of a n is finite, actually if you sum n equals 1 through infinity of P of a n, you will get pi square over 6, right, it does not matter what value it is, right, it is finite, correct, because sum over n equal to 1 to infinity 1 over n square is finite. BC lemma 1 implies that almost surely only finitely many heads will occur. Okay. So, all I am saying is that if your heads are becoming more and more unlikely, like 1 by n square. So, in the nth toss the probability of finding heads is only 1 by n squared. I am saying that there exists an n naught almost surely beyond which no heads will occur, you will get only tails, okay. Beyond an n naught you will get only tails, and with probability 1 there exists an n naught such that beyond n naught there exists only tails, okay, that is what this is saying. So, heads will stop occurring altogether with probability 1, correct, is that clear?
Is it like that, or is it at the nth, ith toss heads will not occur?
No. So, no. So, statement says almost surely only finitely many heads will occur, which means there exists with probability 1 there exists an n naught beyond which there will be no heads, okay. With probability 1 there will be no heads whatsoever beyond a certain n naught, okay, and such an n naught exists with probability 1. Yes. So, for any positive, so for any n, so for any given n the probability of heads is 1 by n squared, but what I am saying is what the Borel-Cantelli lemma is saying is that there exists some n beyond which you will never see a head with probability 1, right. The set of all coin tosses which corresponds to having infinitely many heads will have probability, will have measure 0, okay. The set of all coin tosses in the 0 1 power infinity which correspond to infinitely many heads will have probability 0, okay, that is what this is saying. So, now if you want to tweak it around and make it into an example for BC lemma 2, what do you have to do? So, suppose so you have to of course make these coin tosses independent, you have to make a appropriate model in which, so next suppose P of a n equal to 1 by n and that n's are independent. So, you have independent coin tosses now. So, in earlier case you do not even need independence, you did not need independence at all, right. Now, you are saying that these coin tosses are independent and my probabilities are now 1 over n. So, in my 17th toss the probability of getting heads will be 1 by 17.
Some n naught beyond this probability of A n naught.
No, there exists no with probability 1 there exists an n naught beyond which none of no heads will occur.
If we take this definition, then probability of A n naught plus 1 is 1 by n naught plus 1.
That is not what I am saying. I am looking at a n infinitely often, right. I am saying probability of a n infinitely often is 0. I am not looking at probability of a n naught plus 1. See, which is why I am saying this Borel-Cantelli lemma is very easy to state but difficult to digest, right. So, think about it. So, in this case, let me just finish this example. Okay, so you understand the example. So, you are tossing coins independently and the probability of finding heads in the nth toss is 1 over n. Okay, so here also that heads are becoming more and more unlikely, right. So, in the 100th toss the probability of heads is 1 over 100 and probability of tails is 99 over 100. So, it is becoming overwhelmingly likely to see more heads, but according to second BC lemma, see since, so what I am saying is since sum over 1 over n is infinity and the events are independent, right. BC lemma 2 implies that almost surely infinitely many heads will occur. So, what you are saying is, so if you will just look at this as n, so let us say this is n equal to 1 and then you are looking far out. So, if you are looking far out, if you are looking at some 100, the probability of finding heads is 1 over 100. If you go to 1000, it is 1 over 1000. But what BC lemma 2 is saying is, no matter how far out you go, you are guaranteed to find with probability 1, you are guaranteed to find at least one head turning up, no matter how far out you go. So, although, so you may imagine that when n is a million, the probability of getting head is 1 in a million, but I am saying that if you look at million plus 1 blah blah blah, the rest of the tail events, the tail event, there will be one head popping off somewhere with probability 1. Okay. No matter how far out you go, you can go to a million, a billion, it is becoming more and more unlikely, but if you look at the entire tail, there will be at least one head popping off. Okay. So, this is a highly non-trivial result. I want to this is not something that you can easily predict with some elementary probability calculation, right. So, if you have 1 by n, you get infinitely many heads occurring, although it is becoming more and more unlikely, but if you make it 1 over n power 1 plus delta, then the series will converge, then the heads will stop occurring altogether, right. So, this 1 over n is this transition point, right. Okay. So, the probability of heads is not 1 over n, but 1 over n plus n power 1.001, then heads will stop occurring almost surely because the series will converge, right. So, I hope this example is clear. Think about it, okay, it takes some time to digest. The final point I wanted to make is that you cannot completely get away from the independence in the BC lemma 2. Okay. For example, if you take you fix any event E, okay, whose probability is strictly between 0 and 1, strictly between 0 and 1, and you take all your ANs to be equal to that E, right, all your ANs are equal to that event E, then sum over probability of AN will be definitely infinite, right, because you are summing something between, so that will be infinite, but still the probability of infinitely many ANs occurring will be simply the probability that E occurs, because all the ANs are equal to E, right. So, you can't just throw away this independence, but it is also true that you do not strictly need independence, right. With independence the BC lemma 2 works, but you can make a slight relaxation on that independence also, okay, which is why there are many Borel-Cantelli lemmas, okay, but we will only worry about this 1 and 2. Okay. 1 does not require any structure, 2 for 2 we have independence, okay, you can't throw away. Thank you, I will stop here.